hot is that labor market of ours? We're going to find out.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab, helping people invest in ideas they believe in with Schwab investing themes, with more than 40 themes to choose from. More at schwab.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. How many people got hired and how many people were unemployed last month? We will find that out in just under 2 hours when the government releases U.S. jobs numbers. Economists are predicting hiring remained about steady compared to the month before, but, who knows? These numbers are important to the Federal Reserve because the labor market is a key puzzle piece in its plan to fight inflation. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has more.
Economists polled by Reuters predict that 185,000 jobs were created last month. That would be up just slightly from April, when there were 175,000 new jobs. The unemployment rate is expected to remain unchanged at 3.9%. There are signs that small businesses are hiring fewer people, and wage gains are expected to stay where they are. The number of workers quitting their jobs is down, and the ratio of jobs to available workers is getting back to normal. At one point in the pandemic, there were almost 2 job openings for every unemployed person. That means employers had to raise wages to attract job applicants, contributing to inflation. A softening jobs market would help the Fed. It's trying to cool off the economy by raising interest rates to dampen demand. It has to be careful, though, not to keep rates too high for too long. That can cool the economy too much and cause a recession with higher unemployment. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
One of the fun things about the jobs report is you can see what kinds of jobs are increasing the most, or less fun, shrinking the most. For example, in the last jobs report, the occupation that grew the most in percentage terms in the 3 months through April was water transportation, up more than 3%. The job that disappeared the most was apparel manufacturing, down 4% in just 3 months. But in one of the hottest sectors, artificial intelligence, there is hardly a data point to guide us. Marketplace's Mitchell Hardman explains.
The jobs report lists tech jobs under a bunch of headings: computing infrastructure, data processing, computer systems design. Notice artificial intelligence isn't one of them.
It is not going to tell us that.
Betsy Stevenson is former chief economist at the Labor Department. She says to find out if AI is impacting other non-tech workers, she'll be watching to see who's gaining or losing ground. For example,
do we see unemployment rates of recent college graduates going up?
Because they're often in jobs requiring computational and analytic skills that AI can do better and faster. Andy Challenger at outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas says he expects increased job displacement in
administrative types of positions, technical writing, going out, pulling together large sets of data.
He says companies faced pushback last year when they started citing AI as a reason for layoffs. Lately, they've been blaming technological updates instead. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow futures are flat. S&P futures also flat. NASDAQ futures are up 0.1%, and the yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.298%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
This week, we've been looking at some of the ways cities are changing to meet the future of how we work and live. A lot of those changes have come as a result of the pandemic and the prevalence of remote work. In some cases, cities are struggling with a so-called real estate doom loop. That is where fewer people work downtown, so therefore fewer people hang out downtown, and then more things close. But it's not all doom and gloom. Karen Chappell is director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto, which has been tracking how cities are recovering economically. She spoke with my Marketplace colleague, Nova Safo.
In our series, we've explored a number of cities, but especially striking are the problems in St. Louis. It's in the middle of a doom loop, right? How do cities find themselves in such a situation, and how do they get themselves out of it?
I'm generally cautious with the use of the term doom loop because I think it applies to very few cities. Very few cities are so dependent on their commercial tax revenues that they're actually going to have to reduce the level and quality of their services. Yet, St. Louis and a few other cities are really struggling. So I think we need to look to the success stories and learn from those. I think, the Clevelands of the world that have kind of come roaring back, a lot of it due to kind of strategic office to residential conversions, targeted investments, trying to make sure that there's a core or a node of residential, commercial, and entertainment and retail uses where people want to go, and then kind of building up from there.
We're catching you when you're visiting Chicago for another data project, but I'm curious about what you're seeing there because of the office vacancies and the problems in commercial real estate.
So when we look at Chicago, and one of the things we've done recently is compare after work hours activity to work hour activity. And Chicago really stands out because its activity is nearly back to normal. Yet its work hour activity, Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, is around 60%. So it's really struggling to get that workforce back.
And so what does the successful growing city of the future look like?
I think we need to crack the retail nut. So, maybe we didn't need so many big chain drugstores and Targets in downtown, especially the drugstores we're seeing, they are folding right and left. So, what are we going to do with those types of spaces? And how can we just get activity in those storefronts? I think it's going to be really important for cities.
Karen Chappell, Director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was Karen Chappell at the University of Toronto. She was speaking with Marketplace's Nova Safo. As part of Nova's coverage this week, we also looked at changes in Detroit, New York, and St. Louis. You can find those stories on our website, marketplace.org. Our executive producer is Kelly Silvera. Our digital producer is Dylan Mietinen. Our engineers are Jessen Dueller and John Brewington. And in New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.